Hi, YouTube. Let me just get Facebook involved so we can start this Storytime Sunday. When I'm all choked up and I can't find the words. Every time we say goodbye, baby, it hurts. When the sun goes down and the band won't play, I'll always remember this one. Oh, give me just 1 second here. Hey Facebook, hey YouTube, hey everyone. I really appreciate you joining me for today's Storytime Sunday. Well, today's Storytime Sunday is going to be a bit different. Not a lot different, but a bit. Um, it is actually. Oh, sorry, you guys can't see me well. Let me just do something about that here. Give me just a second. Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for Storytime Sunday. Um, Today's story is pre-recorded, and at the time, this was just an idea. But as I was listening to it, I realized that it's a full story. Some of the ideas that I pre-recorded are just ideas that I've jotted down, and they're not fully formed. While this one is fully formed. And I decided to call the story Consequences. So at the time, I didn't have a name for it. I got the story idea and I just decided to record it. So I'm going to play the recording for you, and that will be today's Storytime Sunday. So you won't see, hear, see me talking, but you'll hear my voice a lot. So I hope you enjoy Consequences on today's Storytime Sunday. Here we go with Consequences. I was just thinking of a story in a dream that I had, and I just wanted to record it. I was talking it out to myself, so yeah. So I was thinking about a story with these three women. One of them has a very happy marriage. They've been married for 15 years, no children, no real problems. Um, Including married, drug for 15 years, good solid marriage, good sex life, good everything, good communication, good marriage. And she's just coming on to be the chaperone to the other two. Um, and then one of them has a really crappy marriage. She's been also married for 15 years. And, her husband has been cheating on her for all that time. Like the day he cheated on her before they got married, and the day that got married, he was cheating on her that day too. And she just he cheated on her on their honeymoon. She spent her wedding night alone. All that stuff. So she's at the bar because she's determined to get him back and get herself laid in the process, which it's been years because her husband's been fooling around. So she's at the bar to get laid and to get her to actually cheat on her husband. Why she's there. Um, and the third woman, she is young, she's single, and sleeps with anything with a penis. Like on two legs and with a penis. And what happens is the third woman, the one who's young and single and whatever, um, young and single and ready to go and sleeps with anything that wears pants. She sees the guy and offers to dance with him, and as usual, goes home with him. And the other woman, the one who is looking to cheat on her husband, sees the guy, goes home with him. Like, sees the guy, dances a bit, and goes home with him. And before she walks out of the door, she says to the halfway married woman, "Have a little fun while you're out here, please." And then she goes home with that guy. And okay, so the chaperone, the first woman I talked about, is sitting alone at a bar, and her two friends went home with guys, and she's sitting home. She's sitting alone at a bar, wondering what the hell to do. her two friends are gone, and she's wondering what to do. And okay, so this 20-year-old, she's about 43 by the way. So this 20-year-old sidles up beside her and says, can I buy you a drink? And she says, no, thank you. I'm just, um, I was with two friends, but they went off with men, and now I'm here alone. And okay. And then the guy says, okay, can I at least sit with you and talk with you then, since you have to decide what to do anyway, because your friends are gone? And she says, sure, why not? So they start talking, and she finds out that he's 21 and whatever, and yeah. So whatever, about an hour goes by, and she, he's like, he's like, are you sure I can't get you a drink? Um, and she's like, of course I'm sure. I don't drink. I've never drank in my life. And then she hears the voice of her one friend in her, in her, in her head. Don't forget to have a little fun. So she figures, okay, I'll walk on them outside one drink. Just give me a beer. Okay, so she orders a beer, drinks it, tastes bitter, tastes awful, but it makes her feel kind of good, right? So she feels her tongue get kind of loose, not too bad, like whatever. And she finds herself asking for another. Then after four beers, she's feeling really happy. She's getting really drunk, and she allows the guy to dance with her, and she's got her beer up in the air and whatever. She allows the guy to dance with her, and before she knows it, he's kissing her, and she's like, "Oh, this is strange, but it feels so good." She's like, "I should stop this, but it feels so good him kissing me. He's good at this." So, so basically, she goes home with the guy. So anyway, all three of those women a few weeks later find out that they're pregnant. Okay, they no. So before they find out that they're pregnant, the happily married woman goes, calls her husband and tells him a lie about there was like the girls got so drunk that she had to stay with them. And he's like, oh, you're such a good friend to stay with them. Those two girls are so loose, they don't know what they're doing. So anyway, she slips away. And all of those, all three women wake up in the guy's apartments and slip away. A few weeks later, they all discover that they're pregnant. And um, the girl with, okay, the single girl who, no, the single girl with like, who likes men and all that stuff, she doesn't know what to do. She's like, what do I do? So she goes by the guy's house and knocks on the door. And he is with some friends and drinking, not drinking that early in the night. He's like with some friends and playing video games and all that stuff. And she says, can I come in? And he's like, sure, what's going on? And she sits down on his couch and says, I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh. He's like, but we used the rubber. She's like, I know we did, but I'm still pregnant. He's like, oh, I don't, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's like, I don't know what to do here. Give me a second. He's like, are you sure? Did you take a pregnancy test? He's like, she's like, I took a pregnancy test. And I went to the doctor and I took another pregnancy test just to make sure I am pregnant. And he's like, oh. She's like, look, I don't want anything from you. You don't even have to pay child support. I just wanted you to know. And then she leaves. And then the unhappily married one, she finds out that she's pregnant. And then she's like, oh no, what am I going to do? And she calls her one night stand, but it turns out that he left the country and she doesn't know where to find him. His phone is disconnected. She goes by his apartment. She doesn't know what to do. And he's gone. She doesn't know what to do. So what she does a few days later, she tells her husband, her cheating husband, that she cheated on him. And saying that she thought saying that would give her such joy, such pleasure to know that she slept with another man too. Like, I can do it too. If you can do it, I can do it. And then, but it didn't give her pleasure. It gave her pain to see the pain in his eyes. So at the beginning, he just left the room. He just left the room and didn't know what to do. Now, a happily married woman, when she finds out she's pregnant, she really doesn't know what to do. Unlike the other woman, she doesn't contact a one-night stand. She doesn't try and do anything. She's like, What do I do? I don't want to lose my marriage. I don't want to do anything. So what she decides to do, she decides to, after a few days, like, of like both her friends call her and say, "I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do." He's, and they say, "You're always the wise one," which they do. You're never the stupid to get pregnant with a one night stand. You have um, you have a great marriage, and but meanwhile, she's holding the pregnancy stick in her hand. She doesn't even go to the doctor. She just, well, she goes to the doctor. The doctor says, "Congratulations, you're pregnant." And she's like, "Oh Lord, oh no." And she counts because, um, although, because she would feel guilty passing the baby off as her husband's if it isn't. Well, it could be her husband's, but she knows it's probably not her husband's because, yeah, so it could probably be her husband's. So, anyway, she gets one of those home um, paternity tests done and swabs his cheek while he's like sleeping and sends the kid back to the lab to wait a minute. So, oh no, the baby's not even born yet. So, but she figures it's probably not her husband's baby because they weren't able to get pregnant. And the moment she's with this other guy, she gets pregnant. So she figures that it's probably the other guy's baby. And she doesn't know what to do. What happened? And forget about that part that I just said. So all three women are pregnant. So the next day, the single woman is still thinking of what to do. Should she have an abortion? Should she have the baby? Should she be a single mom? So the next morning, she's still thinking of what to do. And the the guy who who got her pregnant shows up at the door and says, "Okay, let's do this thing. It's okay. We'll take care of the baby. We'll be its parents, and we'll figure it out." And and the woman is so shocked. She thought the guy would just leave, like would just say, "I'm out of here." But and she says, "Okay, if you want to do this, we can do it." So so they talk they talk over the logistics about raising the baby together. So uh, and the unhappily married woman, she her husband comes to her and says, what do you want to do with this baby? She's like, I don't know. I could get rid of it, but I don't know if I could live with myself if I got rid of it. She's like, he's like, look. He's like, I know money's tight, and we don't have enough money to. I just lost my job, and money's really unstable, and I don't think we can have enough money to keep a baby now. She's like, you're right, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he's like, what does the guy say? And she's like, I don't know, I can't find it. And he's like, look, I know I haven't been the best husband. I know I've had a wandering eye, but I'm here for you, whatever you want to do. And so she says, and he's like, I've been looking on the internet about adoption, open adoption. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, it says here, open adoption is where you can give the baby up but still have contact with it. That way we can see the baby, still have contact with it, but it won't be living with us. We won't be responsible for the expenses or whatever. And she looks over the paper and she says, I'm so sorry. I thought it would make. And she looks at him and looks how sweet he's being through all of this. And she looks at him and says, I'm so sorry. I I thought this would make me feel better. She's like, he's like, don't don't worry about it. I haven't been the perfect husband. And in fact, I've been cheating on you since the day we got married and even before. He's like, I know. And I thought this would make me feel better. But it happened and just made me feel worse. And this innocent little baby, he's, she was like, I think this open adoption thing is a good idea. So they decide to do open adoption. And you see them picking out a family, and you see them picking out a family, and you see them actually meeting the family. Now, the happily married woman who got pregnant with the other man's baby doesn't tell her husband anything. Her husband can feel that something is going down, but she doesn't want to wreck her marriage, doesn't want to do anything, and she doesn't know what to do. So what she does, sadly, is go to the women's health clinic and plan an abortion. And on the day that she's scheduled to have the abortion, she goes in praying that there would be another way, praying that she would have the strength to tell her husband, praying that something would happen. But nothing did, and she goes through with the abortion, thinking that that would make her problems go away. She's filled with so much guilt, guilt for the affair, not affair, but guilt for the one night stand, guilt for the abortion. She's filled with so much guilt that she starts to withdraw away from her husband. And he doesn't know what's going on. She's like withdrawing away from him, not talking to him, not talking to her friends. Because not even her friends knew that she had had this one night stand with this guy and gotten pregnant with her baby. Um, and they've always come to her for wisdom or whatever. And she just withdrew into herself. And on top of that, she got an abortion, which means she took a life. So she's filled with all kinds of guilt. And because of that guilt, she pushes him away when he tries to talk to her. They start fighting for every little thing because she's guilty. So she finds every little thing to fight about. All like so. She asks, like it gets so bad that she asks for a divorce. She feels so bad inside and so guilty. She doesn't feel like she's to be loved anymore because she had an abortion and because she had a one night stand and because whatever. So that pushes her to ask for divorce. And her one time good 15-year marriage is okay. And it is down the tube because she refuses to be honest about the affair, about the abortion, about everything. So her story ends with um, her signing the divorce papers and going off alone to deal with her guilt. Um, and the other story, the the single woman who was fast and loose. Well, during the course of getting ready for the baby with this guy that she only met one time, she realizes that he's not a playboy at all, that he's really sweet and really nice and really kind, and she starts falling in love with him. And he starts falling in love with her. But what's funny is the agreement said no personal involvement, just the baby. And one day when she's about 8 months pregnant, he comes over for something. They're putting the last finishing touches on the baby's room, and they find it's a little girl, and they're putting finishing touches. Well, he kisses her. He gets so excited that he kisses her and says, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she kisses him right back. And she's like, "John, you did nothing but great through this process. And I never expected to fall in love with you. And get she, she can hardly see the floor. She's like, I can't get down on one knee, but to really past 2 months, I've fallen in love with you. And I just wanted to know, will you marry me? And he says, I always thought I would do the honors to a lady. And she's like, I'm sorry. And no, she's like, I'm sorry, it's stupid. Let's forget about it. So he stands, no. She says, will you marry me? And she's like, it's stupid, forget about it. We'll just raise the baby and whatever. We won't think of getting married. And um, he's like, and then after he gets down on his knees and says, I always thought that I'd be the one proposing to a lady. And, and he gets down on his knees and proposes to her. So then she gets married to him, to the guy. And they raise the baby girl and have more kids. So that's the story idea. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed my story. I know it was a bit discombobulated at some points, but I hope you enjoyed it. I titled the story Consequences because of the different consequences that one decision can make. For the single girl, it was the decision to keep her baby. Uh, for the single girl fast and loose, she made the decision to keep her baby. And for the unhappily married person, she made the decision to give the baby up for an open adoption. And what I forgot to mention in that open adoption, she became so close with the family. They became really good friends. She became like an auntie to that little boy, and they all raised that little boy together, and he grew up to be a wonderful young man, a proponent for open adoption and even closed adoption. Um, and like I said in the video, that other single girl, they had their baby and they even went to have more kids and had a long, successful marriage. But tune in for part 2 of Consequences, um, for a story called Redemption for next week to find out what happened to the married lady who had the abortion. That's coming up next week. That'll be part 2 of Consequences. Thank you for joining me for Storytime Sunday, episode 11. Join me next week, Sunday, for part 2, episode 12 of Consequences, called Redemption. See you later. Take care. Bye. So, YouTube, I hope you enjoyed this first part of my story, Consequences, and join me next week for part two to find out what happens to the girl who had the abortion and got a divorce. You won't want to miss this part of the story. Take care. Bye, YouTube.